The September 17th meeting of the Park Resource Commission is called to order. The test for Commission monthly business meeting will be at 12 noon, October 1st, 2020, and it will be a virtual hearing via WebEx. Commission hearing will be 4 p.m. Thursday, October 15th, 2020, and it will be virtual hearing via WebEx also. Next order is the swearing in of staff. Will we be the only one participating?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? If so, please state your name and.
Connie Torbeck, Assistant Historic Preservation Officer with the City of Columbus. I do.
Additionally, each commissioner would introduce themselves this time. I will call the roll. Please answer if you are present. Aaron Prosser.
Here.
Jackie Barton.
Present.
Joseph McCabe.
Present.
Stuart Givney. I don't see Stuart on the link, so I'm going to assume that he's currently not present. If he comes into the meeting, I will add it to the minutes. And I am also present, Clyde Henry, acting chair. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting for Thursday, August 2020. Do I hear a motion?
This is Aaron, so moved.
Is there a second? Somebody second?
I apologize. I am screeching in from a doctor's appointment, so I am still pulling up the agenda. I will just be honest. So I can second.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm digging through Connie's many emails that we've reviewed and looking for the agenda, the one with the agenda in it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes of August 2020, and we have a second. Is there any discussion, questions, concerns? We will go ahead and Joseph?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
And I also vote yes, so the motion carries. The minutes are approved. I don't believe there's anything on the public forum this evening. Is that correct?
No, there isn't. And Sarah, can you bring up the agenda, please? Are you able to do that? Thank you.
So the next item is the applications for certification of appropriateness. We have a fairly short agenda this evening.
Mr. Chair, could you also do the staff approvals first, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Do I have a motion to approve the staff approvals?
So moved. Motion to approve the staff approvals as presented within the agenda this evening.
Okay, and that was Joseph McCabe making that motion. Is there a second?
This is Aaron, I'll second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. Is there any questions or concerns on any of the staff approvals? Hearing none, we will go to the vote. Joseph?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And Clyde also votes yes on that. So motion carries. The next item is the application for certification of appropriateness. First item on the agenda had been continued. It is 690 South Champion Avenue, the Old Oaks Historic District. Connie, will you lead us through that?
I don't see the applicant present. I just emailed him. I know he had some technical difficulties last time, so
Okay.
you may just have to wait and see if when he arrives.
Okay, we will then move ahead and if you see him, let me know and then we'll circle back to him.
All right, thanks.
There's also a second item that was continued, and it is 9, 8, 5, and 9, 7 Brighton Road. Will you take us through that?
Yes, so this is for a request for action, new construction on a vacant lot at the southeast corner of Brighton Road and South 20th Street to construct a new two-family dwelling. So this was continued from last month, and revisions made following the August hearing include that the brick exterior cladding has been extended toward the rear of the building on the east elevation. A window has been added to the front gable, and rendering and drawings have been revised to indicate the deeper eaves so that they're on both. Commissioners noted at the September 3rd business meeting that the applicant has responded to comments at the August HRC hearing. Staff recommends approval as revised. The proposed new construction is consistent with Columbus Register guidelines for new construction 3116.12.
Okay, thank you. And I understand that the applicant and the architect are both present this evening. If so, please unmute you and make sure your cameras are showing. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? If so, answer, answer I do, and state your name and your relationship to the project.
Megan Dixon from Gunzelman Architecture. I do.
And is the applicant also present?
No, it's just myself.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to add to the presentation?
I believe Connie covered all of the additions. The only other revision was the fixed window in the front gable. We were also able to accommodate.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Commissioners, questions on it?
I have no concerns that the applicant has addressed everything that I can recall being raised, and I'd be even in favor of making a motion for approval.
I agree with Joe.
I'm also in agreement. Why don't you go ahead and make the motion?
In the case of HR-20-08-018-985-987 Brighton Road, motion to approve as presented and revised by the applicant for presentation this evening.
Okay, and just for clarification, that was Joseph McCabe making that motion. Is there a second?
Second, that's Jackie.
Okay, so we have a motion made and we have a second. Any other discussion on it? If not, we're going to go ahead and vote. Aaron,
Yes.
Jackie, Joseph.
Yes.
I'd also votes yes, so the motion carries. Congratulations. This is on be a great project. Thank you so much for coming in, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is application number 3, which is at 1662 and 1664 Brighton Road. Would you take us through that?
Okay. Request for action, a variance recommendation. It's a 2 1/2 story brick double which is one up and one down, located on the north side of Brighton Road. The neighborhood is characterized by 1 and 2 family dwellings dating from the late 19th to early 20th century. The request is to allow 3 dwelling units in the existing 2-family dwelling, requesting to retain the existing gravel parking, and request to reduce the required parking from 6 to 3 spaces, to legitimize the existing lot width, and to legitimize the existing side yard on the west elevation. So in regard to 1, as far as changing it from, or to allow three units in a 2-family dwelling, the property is currently zoned residential R3, which does not permit 3-unit dwellings. It was built as a duplex about 1923. An existing original rear entrance provides access to an existing original staircase to the 3rd floor. Renovation of the 3rd floor as a separate dwelling unit has been completed. While staff would not support dividing a historically single or 2-family dwelling into additional units that would require exterior changes such as an exterior staircase, converting a window to a door, or adding new door openings, no such exterior alterations are needed to access the 3rd floor unit. In regard to numbers 2 and 3 with the parking, staff supports the reduction of required parking from 6 to 3 spaces, as this reduces surface paving. Staff does not support retaining gravel as a parking surface, as gravel is easily expandable. Staff supports use of an entirely permeable or partially permeable parking surface. And I provided there also what the zoning code is, which in part says, let's see, shall be designed to control stormwater runoff and be improved with Portland cement, asphaltic concrete, or other approved hard surfaces other than gravel to reduce fill. Applicants are encouraged to consider use of permeable surfaces as a means of reducing stormwater runoff. And as far as number 4 and 5, the lot width and so forth, those are just legitimizing existing historic conditions. You can't change the setback and so forth. And so those are supported by staff. We recommend an affirmative recommendation with the condition that installation of an entirely permeable or partially permeable parking surface.
Thank you. I just heard from Stuart Gibney, and he's been trying to log in, but he says that he keeps getting that the meeting's not starting yet. So maybe someone in technical support could give him a call or help him figure out how to get logged on.
Alex, can you do that?
I'll see what I can do. I don't have his number though, of course, so I don't know if we want to give that out over over this.
Okay.
So you can message me privately in chat if you have his number. If somebody has his number, that should be okay since it won't be recorded. Or you can email it to me, Connie, if you have it. Obviously, I'm not sure why he's having that issue. He might not have the right link.
I'll try to do that. I might disappear for a minute.
Okay, I'll let you guys handle that. Is there, that there is the applicant here, the owner and the architect for this project? If so, do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? Say I do. And state your name and your association with the project. Make sure your camera's on and your mic's on. I don't see anybody. Amy, are you here? Amy, it is. See it listed there. Randy,
step?
Uh,
Who you're looking for?
yeah, yeah, are they here?
I
Randy
think
Estep is on.
Randy is,
Oh.
Mr. Step is here.
Yes,
I'm
he-
seeing in chat that he's on. How does that work when we can't?
We need to be either able to see him or else someone needs to be able to recognize his voice, which I don't think anyone can. I can't.
I cannot.
Kara McCoy, can you, Kara, can you unmute yourself or someone? There you go.
Yeah.
Can we see
here.
you?
Yeah.
Randy is a woman.
Oh, sorry about that.
No problem.
Randy is a woman. Sorry about that.
Okay, so I don't. Can somebody see her? I don't see her.
I see Kara,
Okay,
Kara
good.
McCoy.
Okay, good. Can you speak for the project or Kara?
For 1110 Brighton?
No, no, we're actually on.
I'm
Okay,
actually
Mr.
part of
Oh, I'm sorry.
1110 Brighton.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Amy
we're actually on.
Loudhouse?
Yeah, we're on 1662 and 1664, and we got E-Step calling in, but we can't recognize them. I don't see any of them. Okay.
Amy
Connie-
Lauerhouse has joined. Hey,
Option
Connie,
here.
Amy Lauerhouse has joined the meeting.
Okay,
I see. Amy, would you turn on your camera, please?
okay.
Yes, I'm
Okay, there-
here.
Hi there.
Thank you.
Hi.
It appears that you're the only one that's representing the. That's fine. You actually don't have to anybody. Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? If so, state your name and your association with the project.
Yes, I do. My name is Amy Lauerhouse and I'm the architect for the project.
Great. Okay. Is there anything you want to add to the did you see the presentation?
I did not. Sorry, I was stuck in traffic on the way back from another meeting. But I'm happy
It was
to
a
answer
wonderful, yeah, it was a wonderful presentation. Is there anything else you want to add or just be available for questions?
I'm available for any questions you might have.
Okay,
In
great.
general, Amy, what I said was that staff supports all parts of it except for not the gravel parking area,
Okay.
and would support a completely permeable or partially permeable solution to that.
Okay. Yeah, I did, just for my own knowledge, because I wasn't sure, a couple days ago, I drove the alley between on the west Kelton Avenue and on the east Fairwood Avenue, and there's about 62 properties, and 42 have a garage or have no parking available. About 10 are gravel and about 10 are concrete. So I wasn't sure what your feeling was on that, or what the board's feeling, NEAC's feeling was on that. But there's quite a mixture for sure.
Hey, Connie, can I ask a question? So in this case, we're making a recommendation on the zoning OA as a part of this right now, right?
Right, that's right.
So in our recommendation, could we recommend the inclusion of permeable pavers or semi-permeable? Just
Yeah.
part of our motion? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, let the record show that Stuart has joined the meeting. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that I'm glad you asked that, because I wasn't sure either, since we weren't actually making any changes to the property, whether we were going to get a COA or whether this was just a recommendation to NEAC.
I believe in this case, it's a recommendation of BZA, correct, Connie?
Yeah, yes. BZA.
Oh, okay, okay. So you make a recommendation to BZA and then NEAC makes a recommendation to BZA.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
This is very similar to what we approved in the past
Yes.
from the rear door with no exterior changes. Any other comments, questions? Okay. So do a motion?
I can, Clyde. This is Erin. I can make a recommendation for approval of the variances requested for 1662, 1664 Brighton Road, HR 20-09-009, with the caveat that the board would like to see permeable or semi-permeable materials utilized for the parking area in the rear of the property.
And is there a second?
Second, this
Second.
is Jackie.
Okay, let's go with Jackie for the second on this one. And any other? Oh, Stuart,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Yes.
and it also votes yes. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you for coming in, and best of success to you in your project.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Next item is number 4, Brighton Road. Will you take us through it?
Mr. Chair, I do see that Mr. Arm has arrived. If you want to go back to number 1 before he loses his connection again.
Okay, let's do that. To item number 1, and this was held over from the left, and it is 696 South Champion Avenue. Will you take us through that?
Sure. So this is a request for action, a site improvement. The request is to remove the existing circa 1950s, 1960s concrete block retaining wall, install a new stone retaining wall. This application was continued from the August 20 hearing. There are approximately 7 similar concrete block retaining walls dating from circa 1950 to 1980, existing along South Champion Street within the Old Oaks Historic Districts. And there are 2 more recent walls that are being pursued as code violations at this moment. Staff recommends removing deteriorated or spalling blocks as needed and repairing the existing wall with rock face concrete block to match existing, or the second would be removing the existing non-contributing retaining wall and regrading the front yard to be consistent with adjacent sloping yards. The reason for that is that the consistently sloping front yards along both sides of South Champion Avenue is considered a contributing landscape feature of the street, and provided standards for site improvement 3116.13.
Okay, thank you. And I believe the owner, if you tell the truth in your testimony before this evening, if so, say I do, and state your name and your association with the project.
Yes, I do. And my name is Irabicharum, and I'm the owner of the property.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to add to the presentation?
Just to add that the wall itself is pretty much kind of falling apart and in pretty bad state of repair. And if approved, replacing that wall would be the preferred option for me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll start. This is Jackie, and say that we have seen a lot of retaining walls in my short life on the commission compared to some of you who've been on many years. And I think we have a very consistent treatment, which is that in these neighborhoods like Old Oaks or Brighton Road, where the sloping lawns go down to the sidewalk, are a important characteristic of the historic neighborhood. We generally do not approve replacing the retaining walls. We generally approve either some repairs or if a applicant wants to remove a wall, we allow them to do that and then to make the yard go back to what it would have been when the house was built, which would have been a sloping yard to the sidewalk. So I don't see a case for building a new wall with more modern materials. I'll say that that's not ever been an approach that I've seen this commission approve. I think we have had maybe one case where there was a small stretch of historic stone walls along a stretch, maybe down in Brighton Road, if one of you can remember, but there was documentation of that, and someone repaired those stone walls with stone. But I don't think that's what we're looking at here in the case of this wall. That is not this wall is not that same style of wall, and its neighboring yards are sloping to the sidewalk.
Anyone else?
I would agree with Jackie. The use of the wall here is not consistent with what is appropriate in this location. And in a unique scenario, this doesn't present any circumstance that would be unique to necessitate potentially consideration for a wall to be constructed, a new wall to be constructed in its place. I don't think I could support any decision to put in a new modern construction wall based on our guidelines or any unique circumstances.
And I agree with Joe and Jackie. I think if there were, I agree with Joe and Jackie. I think if there were unique circumstances demonstrated, then that's potential. But without that, I can't imagine that we would deviate from where we have decided in the past on these retaining walls.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Does the fact that the yard mound is so high make a difference? I mean, if you look at that picture that I sent you, it seems rather high. I don't know how you even slope that down.
The neighboring property is sloped down, and I believe I looked on the Google Maps, and it looks like on your particular block, all homes are sloping down, and it doesn't seem to be extremely severe. There are other areas in the city, slope is much greater than that. As have a slope less than 45 degrees, the slope should hold. The net up from you, there are periodic there, slope seems to be higher. But in those cases, we generally don't support a retaining wall unless it was there historically. Any other questions, concerns?
No, this time, thank you.
Okay,
Would you like a motion?
yeah, I think we're probably ready for.
Mr. Chair, I think perhaps you could either vote or ask the applicant, would he like to vote? And I think he understands how that vote may go. Or would he like to modify his application to remove the wall and regrade it to match the adjacent yards?
Yeah, I guess your options here are not do anything or do minor repairs to the existing wall, which you could make an application to do repairs to the existing, which would not be removing the wall. Because it's existing, you could do that. Or the other possibility is to have us amend the application to remove the wall and to regrade it to the sidewalk. Would you like to go up?
I'd like to make some repairs to the existing wall.
Okay. Wall. That's, am I correct on that, Connie?
If you want to just go ahead and take care of it, then you could approve the application as the applicant has just requested to modify it to make repairs.
Connie, would a more appropriate solution be to table the matter this evening and let the applicant make a revision to you so that we could staff approve potentially for
Yeah.
next meeting so that you receive the actual repair techniques?
Okay, that's a good idea, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because that can be easily said.
Okay, so I can make sure that it's the correct type of concrete block or whatever.
Right. Okay. Does someone want to make a motion then to continue?
Motion to continue HR 20-08-08012 for 696 South Champion Avenue. And that's Jackie.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. And Joseph said. And then the repair techniques in accordance to the regulations to Connie, she can simply staff approve it. It won't have to come back to the commission again because it's simply the repair of an existing item. Okay. Okay. We're going to go ahead and vote then. Stuart?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Aaron? And Clyde also votes yes. So the motion's continued. Thank you and best of success to you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to item 4. Is 765 Brighton Road, and it is a roof application.
Right. So this is a brick single-family dwelling located on the south side of Brighton Road. The application is for removal of deteriorated slate roof and installation of a new asphalt roof. This is a complex roof with slate that appears to be more narrow than the general 11 to 12 inches wide. The commission noted at the September 3rd business meeting that the slate does appear to be beyond its useful life, but the replacement shingle should match the dimensions more closely than a standard 3-tab. Also, the cresting at the edges of the gable ridges and the caps on the conical roofs would need to be reused or replicated. The applicant has modified the original application from a standard 3-tab shingle to the GAF slate line shingle, which appears more near to the shape and dimensions of the existing slate. And it's also, I think, here to discuss the cresting. Recommend removal of the deteriorated slate and installation of GAF slate line shingles, and that the cresting at the edges of the gable ridges and the caps on the conical roofs would need to be reused or replicated. And Dan Bible is here for this application from Able Roof.
Okay, thank you. Dan, do you swear truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? If so, say I do, and state your name and your association with the project. Make sure your camera's on.
I do. I don't know if you guys can see me. I turned it on.
Yes.
Do you? And we hear
good.
you.
Yes. Yes, so Dan Bible, production manager with Able Roof. So regarding those, so you guys did get the GAF weather slate shingle change, correct? Is that what you guys did get that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So regarding the cresting, based on what I'm seeing and my knowledge of that, it looks like it's attached like a standard cupola, so it should be easily removed, and it could be reinstalled as well. The only concern that I may have is that depending on how it is removed, it may be damaged. We can reuse them, and ideally it will be in good shape, but unfortunately we are unable to replicate them.
Okay. Any discussion or questions from?
I want to understand more about why they can't be replicated. This is Aaron.
Yeah. I would actually say the same thing. There are homes that particularly maybe Able has not done, but there are homes with replication and or restoration of these components, and that is a requirement of the historic fabric of this neighborhood.
Yes. Yeah. And like I said, I do believe that we're going to be able to reuse them. But there is always that worry, obviously, with construction. But with most of it, we can replicate the crestings, but the like I don't know if you call them sconces on the top there. The decorative pieces on the top is more where just as a company we don't have the ability to replicate them.
Well,
I
just want to say first that if that's the case, if you're sure of that, you might want to be real clear with your work team that nobody better damage those.
Yeah, that's definitely on the docket.
Because when we looked at this roof on this house, it's clear the slate is past its life, but it is painful to this commission to see that it is, because this roof is not just a historic slate roof. It is, well, you're a roof guy, right? How many roofs do you see like this one?
This is very rare for sure.
How many? How many roofs have you seen exactly like this one?
I
dare you to say any.
exactly like this one. This is a rare one for sure.
Okay. And so, it's hard to see it even changed over from slate, but we certainly understand a homeowner not being able to put slate back on a roof of this size. And if we weren't to see those crestings go back on, the character of the top of this house would change immensely.
Yes,
Able does it or whoever does it. I think as a commission, we need to require that those be replicated. Whether or not you are able to do that, Danny, it's just going to have to be a requirement for me.
I agree with you. There are there are artists that can do really intricate tin work, copper work, whatever it takes. And surprisingly, artists tend not to charge as much as they probably should, because most of them really kind of love it. It'd take a little extra work to find somebody that can do it. But again, there's also a lot of incentive to make sure that they come off right. And if they need to be repaired, there's people around that can repair them.
We definitely are going to take every precaution that we possibly can. It has been noted that they get back on there, and like I said, because I did go to this job site and look at them, and I do believe that they can be removed, like I said, like a standard cupola, and reinstalled just as simply. So it more depends on its current condition on whether or not we're going to be able to reinstall them. Obviously, if we had to get them back on there, if there is in fact people around that to bring them, but to restore them, we will certainly make sure that they are not thrown out or something of that nature, and ideally be able to get them repaired.
Yeah, this commission can require you to do that.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
it's not an if you can get it done. It's that I think we're going to require you to either replace them or keep them and back up on the building. Like, it's not a best effort. It's from other commissioners, but I think that's where we're going to require that those be replaced. I would.
Yes, visually, I'm with Aaron. Visually, when this house has its roof done, we need to see the same effect as it currently has. We understand it's not going to have slate, but in terms of the cresting and those, what you're calling cupolas, that needs to be back.
And what I would actually further sort of recommend is that, Dan, I do understand that in the process of construction, your goal is to put on a watertight roof that you can put a warranty on.
Absolutely.
And nothing is ever perfect in the job world field. So what I would actually propose you do is, if you're in a bind or you're struggling with something, call Connie. That's the best way to do it, especially if you've taken it off and you're having doubts about getting it on. Do not throw it away. Do not let it get additionally damaged. Call her to talk about what that next step is before you don't have the material to be able to work with, find a, because I get it. You may have, they all may come off perfectly except for one, but for the one that doesn't come off perfect or something. But again, I think if you put your A+ guy up on the roof with this assignment, he'll probably do it right.
Yeah.
But if you do run into a snag, you need to be really honest about calling her immediately about it to
Absolutely.
go through what do you do, because then there are, Connie may talk to some of us have experience with these kinds of things, and we may be able to guide you in a solution that's a best outcome for everybody involved, so that your client doesn't end up with a problem of not being able to meet the certificate of requirements, and then they get a code violation later on. So that's what we don't want to have happen.
Yes, I agree.
And then there may be a handful of ways it can actually be remedied. So that's what I'm saying. And depending on what your challenge is there, you may have to figure out something unique to get a watertight roof or some other things. But just be open and honest with her, and I think you'll get a win in the end. Or you may figure it out on your own, and you say, "Hey, this is exactly what we're going to do." But I'm sure you're going to have to run ice guard under that little piece and figure out a unique way to attach it, and then waterproof back up to it. But sometimes you get some metal pitting or some other things. Again, I think between the architects in the room and some of us who have restoration experience, we can get you there. With some other ideas that you maybe don't even think about, that might even be easy ways to deal with it. So just a kind of a heads up on that.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that for sure.
All right, great.
Okay, if there's no other questions, Aaron, would you like to do the motion?
Oh, I give it a shot. Okay, so let's say we are recommendation for approval of application HR 20-09-010, 765 Brighton Road. Placement of the slate roof. Oh, see, this is where texture. All right, recommended approval of the deteriorated slate and installation of GAF slate line shingles. Is that good? I feel like that should be a no motion. And
Joe,
then the
would you rather do
crusting, the edge of the gable ridges, and the this might be too architecture-y for me.
Joe, you want to take a stab at it?
I don't want to get it wrong.
Okay, we'll stab at it. Joseph, take your mic, unmute. There you go.
I'm just trying to figure out how to actually do the wording on this as well. I guess the motion would be to, in the case here in the affirmative, is motion to approve the revised roofing material for the roof as presented, with specific attention to the roof fenestration and detailing as discussed with the applicant this evening. I don't know if that's good enough.
I think you need to add that the finials and metal trim needs to either be replicated or replaced.
Okay. With
Replated or restored. Or restored.
decorative ridge, ridge and gable end metalwork removed for replacement on the house, or repaired as may be needed or necessary in consultation with the Historic Preservation Office.
Okay, that sounds good. I think that covers everything.
Specifically, if you have to switch to, and clarification here, Connie, is that if he has to switch from simply reinstallation to replacement, that he has a dialogue of any change with you.
And that it be made in kind.
In kind, yes. Yeah. I mean, I think that's an understood item, but yes.
I just got to reiterate it, Joe. That's the only thing I had going for me on the motion.
Okay, Connie, do you have enough there to write it up? Okay, thank you. Is there a second on, Aaron, you would like to second that?
Joe's motion,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and we have a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
Commissioner Gibney.
Yes.
And I have a quick question. If we could consider adding to the motion that the finish be consistent with the finish that's on the metal currently, and that be also addressed and repaired. So we have an opportunity to not provide a coat of paint and that tinner's red for all those ridge caps and those finials to help preserve those for the future.
Joseph, do you accept that amendment?
I accept the amendment, and in this case, it specifically would be for the tinner's red, I think, so that there's not a mishmash of colors, because I think there's two possible color selections in our historic guidelines.
Yeah.
Okay, is it okay with the second?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have an amended motion, and are there any other questions or concerns, or are we ready to vote?
I just want to say that when this is done, assuming it's done right, this is going to be an amazing roof redo in one of our historic districts.
Okay, let's start with Stuart.
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Becky? Aaron?
Yes.
And Clyde also votes yes. Therefore, the motion passes unanimously. Best of success to you, and be careful taking those off.
Yeah, will do.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is looks like it's a lot of Brighton Road tonight. 110 Brighton Road. Will you take us through that?
Yeah, so this is a request for action, an exterior building alteration. The single-family dwelling on the north side of Brighton Road. The request is to install a new balcony on the front porch roof and convert an existing window opening to French doors. The 1921 and 51 Sanborns indicate a one-story full-width porch. And in an email message to the current property owner, a neighboring property owner remembers a low railing on the roof, which they, to quote, probably 2.5 or 3 feet high. The balusters were wide spaces, maybe every 4 to 6 feet. They were thick and vaguely hourglass-shaped supports. I would guess that there were narrower spindles in the spaces between, but they were gone by then, and that's the end of the quote. No photos of the railing have been located, and it is not known when the described railing was installed or removed. No applications were received for this property prior to 2018, which commissioners will remember. That's when it became the HGTV house, and all the work was done without approval on it. So the HPO has no earlier info on file. The earliest Google Street View photo was from 2007, shows no indication of a porch balcony. And I had completed this before I got some additional information yesterday from the applicant, which I sent to the commissioner, and also some photos from the realtor's collection, which I sent to the commissioners and to the property owner. So that I'm kind of conflicted on this one. I guess I'll say this now instead of later, but when you see the photos that are from the 40s and 50s, you'll see a neighboring house that is no longer there that had railings on the roof. So I think a railing could be appropriate on this house possibly. But I have three real big concerns about that. One being that if it were approved and built, it would have to be really exacting dimensions. I think all of the balusters would have to be custom milled. It couldn't be like skimpy 1.5 inch balusters or anything like that. Another concern is that code would not allow it to be the height of a railing on a roof that it was historically. So I think it might end up looking kind of odd. Historically, any railing comes to the bottom of a window. And so as you can see on this drawing, you know, it does not come to the bottom of the window. It would be above that. And then the third was, the third was definitely that the window is a very significant window and could not be approved to be changed to a door. That they would have to, you know, if it was approved, they would have to just come in and out the window. There's no way that the guidelines would allow that for such a prominent window on a facade.
Okay, thank you. Do we have representatives from the with this evening? If
Yes, that's correct.
so, do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? If so, say I do, and identify and say your name and your association with the project, and make sure your camera is on.
I do. My name's Karen McCoy, and I'm with Simplified Living.
Thank you.
I do. Michelle Dubrell. I'm the applicant owner.
Okay. Let me look here on screen.
I do. My name's Tim Flynn. I'm the general contractor that's going to be helping her with this work.
Okay, contractor. Do any of you want to add anything to the presentation?
Just that Michelle had provided earlier kind of a statement of hardship that had to do with safety for having the balcony above. And we did provide some other examples of some homes that had items added to their front facade that weren't historically original, I guess you could say, that weren't original to the home as well.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the other to add anything or? Okay, Commissioner, do you have any questions or comments?
I will say that based on this house and based on the historic photos, I'm not so sure I see the justification for the railing based on this. This is a pretty sort of, there are other examples of this house or similar looking homes, both on here or other sections of the city. I just don't know that a railing looks appropriate as is being proposed.
Okay. Any other commissioner?
Yeah, I was just going to say with photo evidence from mid-century that shows us that there's not a railing on the house then, and pretty clear evidence with the front of the house having historic windows on it that tells us there was not an egress for a second story porch. It's pretty clear that that's not an original intent for that part of the house. So it does not, our guidelines really don't give us a lot of space for that.
I would agree with Jackie. I think we would be looking for unique circumstance from which to deviate from the guidelines. I certainly don't see one here, especially given the historic photos. And as another resident of the neighborhood, and I just don't think that there's a case to be made as a unique circumstance around safety in this case.
I have a question of the owner. It's appearing as though the replacement of the window for French doors is not on the table. Was the desire to have a decorative railing out there, which I would think could be a low railing if that was your desire, or were you really looking for a usable balcony?
No, I was looking for a usable balcony.
Okay, so the issue really is you want a balcony with French doors. You don't want just a decorative railing because you believed it was the original. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments from the commissioners? Okay, would somebody like to put this into a motion? Motions are generally put in the affirmative.
This is Stuart Givney, Commissioner. I am providing that application HR 20-09-011-1110 Brighton Road be voted upon as submitted.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Joseph McCabe. Is there any further discussion? If we'll vote, let's start.
No.
No, okay. Votes no. Jackie?
No.
No.
Stuart, how do you vote?
No.
Also votes no. The motion does. It's but it looks like it remain as it is. Thank you so much for coming in.
Mr.
Our next
Chair, this is
next
Commissioner
item
Givney.
on the.
Oh, you need to.
Just for the record,
Right.
if we could mention that the basis for the recommendation is based on City Code 3116.13 standards for all. And that would be number 2, number 5, number 6, and also number 12.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other
Commissioner Givney? Commissioner Givney?
Yes.
Would you also like to include the Columbus Register guideline for windows?
I would, and that's based off of page 52 of those guidelines.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Item on the agenda is it's a conceptual review, and it is for 708 Avenue. Will you take us through that?
It's a brick single-family dwelling located on the east side of Bedford Avenue. They're requesting demolition of a 2-story service or / sleeping porch and construction of a new addition. So based on a review of Sanborn maps, the house was built between 1901 and 1921. The 1921 map indicates a 1-story rear porch. So the second story appears to be a later addition. And so the commission just needs to provide comments, no action required. And I've provided some applicable standards for alteration.
Mr. Chair, real quick, I have to actually leave the meeting early, so I need you to note the record accordingly.
Okay. Are you leaving now?
Yes.
Okay. Show that Joseph McCabe has left the meeting, but all the items that we need to vote on have already been voted on. And I believe there's someone here from the
Gary
Holt.
Holt. Yeah.
Do you swear to tell the truth in your testimony before the commission this evening? If so, say I do and state your name and your association with the project. Camera's on. Okay. Gary, we see you. We don't see you yet. Your name. Turn your camera on. Where did he go? Gary Holt, can you hear us? I see him on the. I see. He's turned his.
Yeah, I unmuted him so he could speak, and I'm not sure what's going on with that. Sorry.
Okay. Gary, are you there? Yeah, it's just Gary. Gary, can you turn your camera on? I guess we could make. So we made some comments at the business. This is being recorded, and he could watch it on. Is it on YouTube or where can people see it?
Yes, and I could send him the recording later. The city attorney is in attendance, so I don't, if she has any, think there's any issue with that, as long as Mr. Holt isn't testifying, I don't see why the commissioners wouldn't be able to make comments, and then he can look at the YouTube recording later. And also send him a letter with comments.
Okay, and if we see him, or if you see him turn his camera on, let us know and we'll swear him in. Do you want to lead us through this, or have we looked at it already, or where are we at on this? People want to make comments?
Yeah, if you want to look at the rear the photos of the building, as I was saying, since I looked at the Sanborns, it looks like the second floor is not original anyway. It was just a service porch there, and then they built something. Maybe it was an open porch, I don't know, but it was noted as a one-story porch there. So it appears that at least part of the second story is not original. And he's requesting, have comments on two different options. One is just keeping the existing footprint, and one is to increase it for a larger rear addition. And has some sketch drawings of those two options.
Yeah. I think when we discussed it at the business meeting, we had also looked at some of the neighboring properties, and it looked like they had bump out porches in the back, and so it's pretty consistent if you did want to make the addition on there with the neighboring properties. The existing little there is looks like it's in really bad shape and needs to be replaced. And I would tend to agree that the upper level, if maybe was probably an addition. If it's not, it's certainly been modified. Agree. Evidence. Okay. Aaron, any comments for our to review?
I mean, it sounds like there's, to me, sorry, I can't open the file for some reason. It's not letting me do it on the box, but there's two separate proposals. One is to maintain the existing back addition, essentially what was the second floor porch. And then there's a second option where he's bumping it out a little bit. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
I mean, I'm comfortable with the first one. And it is the rear of the house. The drawings don't give me a lot to go on the deeper addition. It is the rear of the property. I don't know that I'm fundamentally opposed. The drawing that's up right now where it's just kind of the big box stuck on the back gives me a little bit of, I just don't know entirely what I'm looking at. And I think we need more details to understand what that expansion of the house would look backside. But the first iteration to kind of solidify the second floor porch as a part of the house and then add a little porch on the back, I don't think I have a lot of concerns with.
Okay. Jackie.
I don't really have anything to add to the conceptual review here. I think that when the details come back, there may be more discussion, but the state of things on the back of the building, the condition is poor, and I think that the general conversation has covered anything that I would have had to say.
Hey, Stuart, you want to add anything?
Well, this is an interesting situation because if we look at the exterior building alterations code, we don't want to diminish the characteristics that are distinguishing for the house. However, if the necessity of an addition is to provide a more suitable living opportunity for the house itself, then I think we need to maybe take a look at that piece of the discovery being provided to us with a little definition, as was mentioned earlier. I am okay with keeping the porch as it is in like kind, but I wouldn't be opposed to the addition per se, but at this point I need more information.
Okay. Any other comments? I guess that concludes the conceptual review. I think the consensus is replacing the footprint would certainly not be opposed. If the is justified, there's not a strong opposition to it if it's done correctly and if its addition is justified. Does that kind of sum up what everybody's saying, or anybody want to add to or take away from what I've said? Okay, then I think we have concluded our applications. And is there any new? I believe so. So I guess the only item left on the agenda is a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Aaron made a motion. Stuart, you want to second that?
Second, please.
Okay, we have and a second. So we're going to call the question here. Stuart.
Yes.
Jackie.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
And yes. Therefore, the meeting is adjourned. Good seeing you all, and short meeting. you at the business meeting.
Bye, guys.
Bye.